Our bodies are portals. Every time we drift into sleep, we step through a gateway into unknown worlds, walking through the void, passing through darkness and light, as the atoms of the universe rearrange themselves into vision, prophecy, messages, and memories. With the ego left behind, we become the creator once again, weaving together the very threads of reality through our dreams. I am Stella Porta, Stargate, Incarnated Angel, Dream Oracle, artist, and your guide and bridge between the seen and unseen. Welcome to the Dreamweaver Podcast. Beautiful, beautiful dreamers. Welcome back to another episode of the Dreamweaver Podcast. Today we're going to talk about tools to enhance your dream experience. We're going to talk about the most important book you will ever write in your life, which is none other than your dream journal. And I'm going to provide some crystals, herbs, plants, flower essences, essential oils that will assist you to go a little bit deeper into the dreamscape. This will include a few remedies for nightmares and bad dreams, as well as offering my personal protection invocation, or you could call it a protection prayer, that I crafted quite some time ago and that I use habitually. I'm also going to briefly offer some tips if you're not remembering your dreams or if you're having a dream drought, and then some further insights that have helped me with accessing my own dreams. I'm going to start with the dream journal. And I call this my book of mirrors because to me, I believe it's a form of scrying. And scrying is the act of looking into a medium such as a mirror, water surfaces, crystal, and just making out messages or meanings. And I really believe that your dream journal does exactly this because it's a way of seeing into the past, present, and future, providing insight, wisdom, awareness. This is the number one tool I always recommend. If you can only do one of the suggestions that I provide in this entire episode, please make it this one. When you have a dream journal, you're actually cultivating the relationship that you have with yourself and your subconscious mind. Storytelling is a big part of our existence as a species. So this is a tangible item that is telling your story. I read somewhere that Dreamwork is like a friendship. Writing down your dreams is like being engaged in conversation. By not journaling your dreams, it's like saying to a friend, I don't have time to talk to you. So then they stop calling. I'm going to offer the way that I record in my book of mirrors. I'm going to share with you the exact structure that I have been using, but these are all just recommendations. I truly believe that you'll know what's best for you, and you need to choose what resonates with you and what you think will work for you to help you learn your dream language. Okay, the first thing I do is write the date. It may seem obvious, but there are moments where I think I'll remember when it happened a day or two later, and then I completely forget. I write the date on the right-hand side at the top of the page, and I give my dream a title to make it easier to find later on. For example, The Wolf Who Had Wings. True story. I then start with astrology notes, such as the sign that the moon is in, to later see patterns of how I dream through the zodiac. I also include the moon phase, such as the waxing moon, full moon, new moon, etc. Then I note my dream state. So was I lucid dreaming? Was I fully asleep? Or was I in what I affectionately call the in-between, which is that liminal space between sleep and awake, also called the hypnagogic state. So I note this dream state just to know what kind of experience I'm having. Then I begin to write the narrative, recording all the details that I can remember from the dream. The more specific, the better. Sometimes it's full sentences. Other times it's just in bullet form. If it's in the middle of the night, I just write the details of the dream out on a piece of paper that I always have beside my bed, and then I fill out the rest in the morning. I also make sure to note what I felt from the dream, because as I mentioned in the last episode, how you feel gives clues to its meaning. After writing that out, I decide what category this dream falls into. So if you haven't listened to my last episode, Decoding the Language of Dreams, my dreams fall into 4 categories. The first is purely intuitive messages through symbolism. The second is memory retrieval. The third is dimensional travel. And the fourth is reflection. I also note any crystals, herbs, or flower essences that I used from what I will share later in this episode, and also any intentions that I set beforehand. In truth, I don't always set an intention. I normally like to just ride the cosmic current and see where it takes me. I used to have 2 separate books, one for my dreams, my oracles of the night, and one for my synchronicities, my oracles of the day. And now I just combine them so that I can see the interweaving of my waking life and sleeping life. I'm old-fashioned in that I absolutely love having a handwritten dream journal, and I will always use that first. But I have also recently begun to type up, thanks to transcription apps, all the dreams that I've recorded so far to make it easier to reference, because I can just type a word in the find box of the document and it will give me all the dreams with that word. So if I had a dream about a wolf, I can just type in find wolf and it will find all the dreams that have the word wolf in it. So much quicker and easier than rereading my entire dream journal to find one dream. It also makes it easier to add a synchronistic moment that happened in waking life that directly correlates to the dream. I often paint my dreams out, as you can see from my Instagram if you're following me, but I have started to use an abandoned leather unlined journal that was meant to be my art journal years ago, but I never really used it. And I recently bought watercolor pencils and a brush, and in the mornings, if I had a vision from the dream I really want to remember, I've started drawing and painting it out. It's really quite beautiful to start the day by drawing a sketch from a dream. The great master of dreams and imagination is our inner child, who really is the magical child within us, the one who lives closer to the dream world than most adults. Just like any relationship, you have to nurture the one that you have with your dream self, and you actually have to be present within it. I go back often and read entries I've made, and at one point I did notice that some of my most profound, intense dreams, where I received light code symbols and traveled astrally to what I called the meeting point in last week's episode to convene with interdimensional beings, happen a lot during Leo season in the summer around July and August, especially the Sirius Gateway and the Lionsgate portal. It made sense when looking at my astrological natal chart, because I actually have a Scorpio stellium, which is a concentration of planetary energy, 3 or more planets, in one sign, and mine is in the 5th house, which is naturally ruled by none other than Leo. So this is when my story gets really activated, because all the Scorpio energy, all the planets, like my Mercury, my Pluto, and my Sun in the 5th house, that's really when everything happens for me. I'm able to go really deep and access these different dimensional realms with a lot more ease than I normally would. And I wouldn't have noticed this if I didn't have a dream journal and I didn't write it down. And that's my point. The key is to always write something down, even if it's just a fragment of a feeling or song or moment from your dreamscape. Dreamwork is a practice. I'm going to talk about some crystals that will help you on your dream journey. The first crystal is blue kyanite, and this crystal is said to facilitate dream recall and promote healing dreams. And I must say for myself, I've had direct experience using this crystal. I've placed it under my pillow for quite a number of nights, especially in 2020, and it works. Around that time, like most of you probably listening, I started to become extra sensitive to energies, especially dark energies and negative entities, especially before sleep, in the darkness, in the dreamscape. And this specific stone, I would put it under my pillow, and on those nights, I'd actually be able to fall asleep. The next crystal I have is moonstone, and this crystal is said to encourage lucid dreaming, especially at the time of the full moon. I would definitely recommend putting moonstone under your pillow or sleeping with it beside your bed at the time of the full moon and seeing what sort of magic happens, what sort of doorways that it opens. Then there's black jasper, also known as basanite or basanite, and it's believed to take you deep into an altered state of consciousness, bringing prophetic dreams and visions. And then there's celestite, which stimulates clairvoyant communication, dream recall, and journeys out of the body. Another powerful one is Herkimer diamond, which aids psychic vision, dream recall, and understanding, which is also said to help access the Akashic records. Perfect for dreaming, since we kind of dip into the past, present, and future, and we have access to all these different realities, all these different timelines, all these different memories. Then there's blue howlite, said to assist with dream recall. You can use jasper to facilitate shamanic journeys and dream recall. It provides protection and grounds energies, which means that it'll also ground your energies in your body, so you don't need to be worried that you'll fly away in the dream world. I love that most of these that I've said already help with dream recall. So if there's any of you that are having challenges recalling your dreams, these might be some good stones to familiarize yourself with. I have one more crystal for you because I can't go through every single one. There are so many crystals in the world, thousands upon thousands, and a lot that we haven't even discovered yet. So I'm just keeping this list very brief. These are my top crystals that I use and I believe could assist you on your journey. And this last one is amethyst. And sleeping with this stone facilitates out-of-body experiences and brings intuitive dreams. It's also said to help with insomnia. And in terms of what to do with these crystals when you get them, my favorite way to use them for dream time is to put them under my pillow. I'll hold it to my heart and set an intention. I'll thank the crystal, and then I'll put the crystal under my pillow and see what the dream time holds that night. It's really about trusting yourself, trusting your intuition, trusting what you're feeling, and choosing crystals that you connect with and working with them for a desired outcome. Now we're on to herbs and plants, and I'm going to share some herbs that are dream specific. They're called Aneirogen herbs, and they're from the Greek word oneros, meaning dream, and gen, meaning to create. And I always hope I pronounce these words properly. Google is not the biggest help when it comes to proper pronunciation because I'm given actually so many different ways. So hopefully I did that justice and I honored that. These types of herbs produce or enhance dreamlike states of consciousness. This is characterized by an immersive dream state similar to REM sleep, which can range from realistic to alien or abstract. Just like with the crystals, there are so many different types of plants and herbs on the planet that can assist with this, but I'm only going to give you a few common ones. I still implore you to do your own research and look for any contraindications because I'm not a qualified doctor. I don't know your body. You know your body better than anyone else. So look into these a little bit further before you try any of what I'm about to suggest. The first herb or plant is laurel, and its scientific name is Laurus nobilis, referred to as the true bay leaf. And it is my absolute favorite herb for dreaming. I use it almost every night, and I love how it connects me to the oracles of ancient Greece. Priestesses at the Temple of Apollo burned and chewed laurel leaves in the night to inspire dreams of divination, enhance intuitive insight, and receive clairvoyant visions for the Delphi Oracle. This magical herb permits you access to dive deeper into the dreamscape. I do use laurel in its essential oil form, and I spray it on my pillow for divining dreams. Next, we have rosemary, which is associated with fairies and friendly spirits. We have mugwort, which increases awareness in dreams, and it has been used for hundreds of years as a tool for magic and dream work in many different countries. And even in the Middle Ages in Europe, mugwort was also used for protection. I will say, though, proceed with caution because it does stimulate menstrual flow, so definitely do not take this while pregnant. Another one is holy basil, used for dream enhancement. In Ayurvedic traditions, this herb is seen as a link between the material and spiritual worlds. There's dragon's blood, which can be burned to facilitate astral travel when infused with intention. The last herb I have is vervain. Yes, the same one from the Vampire Diaries. And it's actually a visionary herb used for dream quests in many cultures. All of these herbs can be consumed directly, smoked, or made into a tea. If you don't feel comfortable using them internally, you can also place the herb in a small cloth pouch, a mini dream pillow, and place under or inside your pillow. I have a really beautiful one that I use, and I'll share it on my Instagram at some point and possibly in the newsletter. Now we have flower essences and essential oils. The ones that I'm going to share with you right now, you can place a drop on your third eye, on your wrists, or even behind your ears. You can also even put them in a diffuser too, or sprinkle them on your pillow so that you smell it as you go to sleep and you're breathing it in. The first one we have is comfrey, and this one is good for remembering dreams. Then there's marigold, which is believed to heighten psychic sensitivities and clairaudience. And if you don't know what clairaudience is, it's basically the ability to hear psychic messages. Another essential oil is celandine, said to facilitate lucid dreaming and receiving messages from spirit guides. The last one I have is datura, which assists in letting go of current circumstances in order to go into unseen realms, which is excellent for spiritual vision and meditation. Now, for those of you that experience nightmares or bad dreams, or you have fear when you're going to sleep, or fear when you wake up from a dream, or even within the dreamscape, I have a few tools and remedies for you as well. So for crystals, 2 crystals that are great for absorbing and dissipating bad dreams are chalcedony and rhodochrosite. You can place black tourmaline by the bed for protection. It forms a protective shield around the body and also protects against psychic attack and negative energies of all kind, which is really quite helpful when you're traversing the dreamscape. Selenite is also a very good stone for high vibrational energy as you sleep to help you access angelic consciousness and higher guidance. Pure selenite is a link to the light body, helping to anchor it in the earth vibration. Selenite can be used to form a protective grid around a house, not allowing outside influences in. You form the grid internally by placing a selenite crystal, or I use a wand, in the corners of the house. Rosemary is also a nightmare remedy, and you can also burn cedar as a remedy for bad dreams. And an essential oil that hasn't been mentioned yet is blackberry, and this is really good if you have fear of going to sleep. I want to share with you my personal protection invocation or protection prayer that I have used for a few years now. And I say this prayer out loud before going to bed before doing my tarot readings or any psychic readings for someone else or for myself. And I've even gone to the point where I've said it so often in my waking life that when I feel scared or fearful within a dream, I actually say it within the dream as well. I believe using your voice, saying this out loud, gives it more power, but please feel free to use it in whatever way you please, whatever way feels comfortable for you. And I start with taking a few deep breaths, at least 3, in through the nose and out through the mouth. I now command within and without to be protected by Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, my light beings, my high vibrational guides, my celestial cosmic team. I always intend to only connect with that of love and light, whether physical or non-physical, in form or formless, in spirit or in matter. I am God, universe, source, and through this divine light, all darkness is dissipated and deemed powerless. And so it is. It is done. So be it. It is as it is. This protection works. It's very powerful. So much so that if I'm experiencing a dark or negative energy in the dream state, I've actually said this prayer in the dream, and I've had voices join in with me. I assume they were my angelic or my celestial team, possibly even higher versions of myself from other star systems. This works when waking up from a nightmare or disturbing experience as well. A few months ago, during the dream time, I astrally projected into a dimension where, I won't go into any details, I witnessed a human sacrifice. It was so disturbing that I pulled myself out of the dream and lay in bed feeling sick to my stomach. I couldn't get the image out of my head. It was just playing over and over and over again. And even though I was awake, I felt like I was still there. That energy was still with me. So I started saying this invocation over and over again, commanding to release me from the emotions of what I saw. And it worked. Within a few minutes, I was able to relax and fall asleep again. I will recommend, though, that when you're feeling ready and you're feeling comfortable, to change some of the wording so that it resonates with your energy and your inner power. Before this episode comes to an end, I recognize that there are quite a lot of people who have trouble connecting to the memory of their dreams, to dream recall. Some people believe that they don't dream at all because of this. So I want to share some quick tips that worked for me and may work for you as well. Take what resonates and leave whatever doesn't. Back before April 2020, while me and my husband were traveling Australia, and even before we left, I got into this habit of smoking weed every night, believing that I needed to smoke it in order to fall asleep. It took me a while, but somewhere along the way, I stopped remembering my dreams. I went from living my entire life being able to recall a dream very vividly and very specifically to just getting wisps and fragments. So April 2020, I decided to not smoke weed at all. I cut it out completely, and I wanted to see if I could get my dreams back. It didn't happen right away, but they came back. I began to remember in full detail and have all of these incredible experiences within the dream time. And none of this is to say you should stop smoking in order to access your dreams. I'm not saying that at all. I am just sharing what has worked for me personally, because I have friends who smoke with intention to access their dreams, to access different states of consciousness. So it really comes down to knowing yourself and following your heart and doing what works for you. Another tip that has worked for me is limiting screen time, such as looking at your phone or watching a movie at least 2 hours before falling asleep. And honestly, I'm so guilty of doing this more often than I care to admit. But I do find that it does interfere with my dream recall. Another one is to turn off your Wi-Fi router at night, because the electromagnetic signals that are being sent from your Wi-Fi has been linked to brainwave interference, making it harder to get you into a deep sleep state. I would also recommend no caffeine at least 8 hours before bed because caffeine is a stimulant. Another tip that I have, and obviously, once again, you do not have to do this, but it worked for me, was cutting out horror movies because I was the scream queen. I loved horror movies growing up. I thrived off of them. I wanted to get scared. Like, it would be very rare for me to go into a haunted house, everyone's screaming around me, and I just wouldn't be scared. It's very rare for me. I don't watch any of that stuff anymore. I really try not to because it does interfere with the dream state, and it allows a doorway to be opened within your subconscious mind to allow negative energies and entities to slip through. And if you're curious a little bit more about that, let me know. I can go into that a little bit further in a separate episode because I've definitely had a lot of experiences with that. But it's just something to consider. Another really good tip that I have is to return to the body posture that you had while you were dreaming, because a dream that slipped away sometimes will return. Another thing that I found really helpful was making time to create during the day, accessing the inner child, because remember, the inner child is the magical child. They're the ones that can so easily access these realms, these doorways to different dimensions through the imagination. So once again, these are all just from my own personal experience and things that have worked for me. But find out what works for you, experiment, and develop your own practices. Oh, the last thing I want to share with you today is to pay attention to the time you wake up from a dream. There have been so many times where I've woken up consistently at 3 a.m. or at 4:44 a.m. Numbers hold powerful energy that are connected to meanings and messages. Some people call those times the witching hour, like 3 a.m., where the veils are very thin, and this is the time where magic seeps in. I'll end this episode with one quick story about this, and it wasn't a dream, but it was an experience in the early morning hours. It was definitely what could be categorized as strange phenomena. It was back in January 2021, and both me and my husband woke up. I woke up first, and when I checked the clock, it was around 1:48 a.m. And I was wakened out of the dream world because there was a sound that I'd never heard before, and it was loud. And we lived in the city at that time, in the greater Toronto area. At first, I thought it was an airplane, and it wasn't, because airplanes flew over there all the time, and this was not a normal airplane sound. And it was in the middle of the night. A few seconds later, Justin, my husband, woke up beside me to the same noise. The only way that we can describe it is that it sounded like a tone, a continuous tone, almost similar to a Tibetan singing bowl. The sound itself wasn't frightening, but if you can get over the fear of the unknown, it was actually pretty calming. It definitely sounded like a spacecraft of some sort. I'm not kidding you. It sounded like a spaceship. It was as if there was something over our house, and it was just sending this healing tone. And it was continuous for quite a number of minutes. And the way that the sound projected, it sounded as if it was hovering above us for some time before slowly moving on. Except that we didn't hear it move on. It's almost as if it just was hovering above us and then stopped. We got out of bed and we started looking out the windows. We tried to see what was above our house. We should have actually went outside. I really, really wish that we did. But we ended up just going back to bed. And Justin fell asleep right away because he can do that very well. I can't, especially when I've been really stimulated like that and I need some answers. So here I am just lying in bed asking my spirit guides, what's going on? Was that a UFO craft? I can lie and say I wasn't a little scared, but I was. Especially because that sort of world at that time was just opening up to me. And literally about 5 minutes or so later, I saw flashes of light coming out of the window, which kind of freaked me out a little more. And I sort of just stayed in bed with the covers wrapped tight around me. And I really regret that. I wish I had gotten out of bed and went to see. Looking back and reflecting on my journey, I'm at the point now in my life where I welcome all that type of phenomena. And I welcome meeting my interdimensional friends in my waking life too, not just in the dreamscape. So all this to say, hold on to that inner child and follow that curiosity, because I have no doubt that it will lead you to magic. If you haven't signed up to my website, I just started sending predictions for every new moon to all of my subscribers. As a dream oracle, it makes sense that the area of astrology that I'd focus on would be the moon. Not to mention my natal chart is dominated by the water element. I am also currently crafting a small course on moon astrology, which is also on my website, and I'll link all of that in the show notes below. I want you to remember as you experiment that all of these tips and tricks are meant to enhance your dream experience. You don't need to rely on them exclusively. You are already connected. These are all just tools meant to assist that connection, not create it. All that you need to journey further is within you. You are the portal. Your dreams are the oracle.